Okay, we're back to segment 4 of class 3 of setting limits and building cooperation. So our children want to cooperate with us. That's how they're built. And we want to cooperate with them. We want to have a good relationship with our children. That's how we're built. However, we live in a society that isolates parents intensely and that offers little, if any, resource for the work of parenting. There's no preparation for the work of parenting. You know, if you've been lucky enough to play with young children as you've been growing, that's a little bit of help, but it doesn't prepare you for how many feelings you're going to have about your own children. It's like I know many people whose lives are dedicated to early childhood education and who have really studied children and know them well and work with them well. And when they become parents, all of a sudden it's like being on a different planet, because your own feelings are coming up about your own childhood and about your own child. It's very, very different when it's your child. So parenting is emotional work, and there's not much way in this society to prepare for that emotional work. It sort of hits us in the face rather suddenly when we first have a baby. There's no pay for the work of parenting. There's no way to parent and not be preoccupied with making a living, keeping a roof over your family, you know, putting food on the table. And all of that pulls us away from this primary, very important and very emotion-filled relationship. So that makes life difficult for all of us as parents. And there's no protection from overwhelming circumstances. So parents need emotional support, and they need practical help in order to do well by their children. And no one understands that there is a need for emotional support at all. We all need it. We all sort of have a sense that this is way harder than it ought to be. But there's just not the concept of emotional support that's out there. So it feels like there's something wrong with us, or there's something wrong with our children, instead of something wrong with a system that would leave people doing the job that they care most about in their whole life, the job that really expresses who they are as a human being and how much they love, that would leave them all alone doing a job without very much information, without very much help. So basically, we're calling this segment "Call in the Troops," because that is part of our job as a parent. Part of our job is to love our children ourselves. Part of our job is to get our lives organized so that we have enough time with our children to deliver our love, so that we have tools with which to do that, rather than kind of flailing around and not really knowing how to deliver love in a way that children are ready to receive it. And we just need more hands on the job. So I want to talk about finding a listener for yourself, and I want to talk about help, some ideas for getting help with the work of parenting, aside from the emotional support that will help you do your job well. And I want to talk about getting ready to ask for help. So first of all, where can you find a listener? Where can you find someone who will build a relationship with you where you can tell them how it is for you and you can listen to how it is for them? Where you can cry with them about what gets hard or the places you disappoint your child or disappoint yourself, and where they can do the same. You know, the places where you can celebrate your victories and your good moments and your, wow, this is the time I really noticed I was getting angry and I didn't go there because I had these ideas of what I could do and I did them. You know, where can you celebrate that? You know, except in a relationship where someone knows you well, you know, knows what's hard for you, learns you, and cares about you. So finding a person like this takes a little work. You can look in the direction of a minister or someone from your church or your temple who might be interested in supporting you or might be set up to support you through services that are offered there. You can look in friendships for this kind of person. Although in friendships people are used to chit-chatting, so you actually need to look at the Listening Partnerships booklet, understand the guidelines, read it again and again so that you're using your time with a friend you've chosen in a listening partnership differently than you use it in the friendship that you've already built. Because a listening partnership is a different thing than a friendship. It has a much more focused goal. And there are particular listening ideas that you can use in that partnership to reach that focused goal of offering a place to unload your feelings and a place to explore how your history as a person, ties in with what's hard for you now with your children or with other people in your lives around parenting. So you can look to neighbors, you can look to relatives, you can look to hand in hand for ways to build a listening partnership. If you join one of our classes or one of our study groups, there will be a group of parents that you will be listening to and who will be listening to you. You may not see them because we do most of this by conference call, but you will get to know them, and you can strike up a listening partnership off of a little takeoff period with mentoring from us. You may be able to find a listening partner through our discussion group, which has a database of people looking for listening partnerships. And we plan to develop a course in 2013 that will be about building a listening partnership, how to do it, what can happen, and give you some videos to model what a listening partnership looks like, so you can have a practical look into a successful listening partnership and see what people do and how they are and the kinds of things that you can talk about and cry about and laugh about. So we'll give you a little help there as much as we can. The next thing that I want to talk about is arranging more help. It's like, in general, parents are doing way too much all by themselves. We feel like if we can't love our children, no one can. It's literally all our job, and we want to do it well, and we pour our whole selves into it. And by the time our children get to be 2, we are feeling frustrated because the feelings are coming up for them, and we're getting tired, and we're feeling like our lives are not going quite the way we want them to. So even if you have lots of time to pour into a relationship with a child, it begins to wear doing it all yourself. And I think a smarter goal is to involve people who you really like, who you really think are good influence, both for you and for your child, to involve people in your child's life so they have more than one person that they can depend on for providing a safe environment, for providing love and fun and interesting times and exploration together. So you want to be looking for who else can help take care of my child so I can have times in my life when I'm in charge and I can do the things I want and they stay done. And you can look to friends, you can look to nursery schools, you can look to parent co-ops, you can look to parent clubs or parent groups. They're not so easy to find, but the internet makes them easier now. And I would connect up with other parents to try to build a parent community around yourself so that you're not the only one struggling all by yourself in your home, or the only one struggling all by yourself at work, not even finding out if other people are parents, or avoiding the topic of being parents at work for fear people will find you an inferior worker in your workplace. It's like we really need to stop hiding our identity as parents when we're on the job. So find other parents there. It's possible you could do listening partnerships with lunch at lunchtime. Find an office that's empty and do your listening there. I used to do listening support groups in corporations at lunchtime, and we'd find an empty room and there'd be lots of crying and laughing going on in there, and nobody ever bothered us. Nobody bothered us. It's perfectly possible to do at work. But in order to do special time with your child, if you're a working parent or a single parent, it can take some coordination, and I want to offer some suggestions for finding ways to do this. Setting up at least a little bit of time every day or every week when you can offer special time to your child to help build the safety and the warmth in the relationship. When we were early in sort of getting these ideas out to parents, there were 3 moms, 2 of whom were on welfare, and one was almost a single mom by dint of the fact that her husband was at work much of the time, day and night. So they decided to pool resources, and in order to do special time with their children, there were 5 children between these three moms. They got together for an hour and a half once every week, And one mom would take care of the 5 children, play with the 5 children in one room, and the other 2 moms would have a listening partnership. And after a half an hour of listening time, the mom who had just gotten listened to would come out, she would take care of the children. The mom who was with the children would cycle in, and she would listen to the mom who had just listened. And then that mom would cycle in, and so that every mom got a half an hour of listening time, every mom gave a half an hour of listening time, and every mom spent half an hour with the children. And meanwhile, the children would possibly have a cry or have a tantrum out there. They would get some practice listening to children, not only their own child, but other people's children. And they actually kept this threesome going all the way through their parenting careers. So they still meet, and their children are between 20 and 25 now. They still meet once a week and listen to one another. They've been through thick and thin together. It's been really pretty to watch. So you can team up with other moms in order to do special time and get listening time. You can start a child care exchange so that your child goes to someone else's house and you get listening time with a third person, and then you take their child and they do whatever they want to resource themselves. When I started a little dinner co-op a long time ago, just in my neighborhood, there were several moms in my neighborhood, and we decided what we wanted to eat. And so 2 nights a week, a mom with a wagon and a toddler would come up to our doorstep and bring us the main dish for dinner. This was wonderful. I hated to cook. It was so nice to have dinner at the door. And then when I did cook, 1 night a week, I would cook for 3 families, ours and 2 others, and then we'd take a walk down the street to bring dinner to somebody. And I really liked that dinner co-op. It didn't last long enough, but it was great while it lasted. Some of us moved, and we didn't reinstate it. You can have a playmate come over to play with one of your children while you do special time with another, And if that playmate plays well with both of your children, then you can have them play with one while you give special time to the other, and then you can have them play with the other child of yours, while you're doing special time with one, and then your children can play together and you can play with the playmate who came over, give them special time. So that's another way to get special time in. It's like you can look around to see if there's a warm and interested teenager, somewhere. You can advertise at the local high school, or you could see if there's a teen looking for work who has a sparkle in their eye and a warmth about them, to hang out with your children some of the time in the afternoons so that you can get some things done, and they can build friendships with your children. I know I ran into several teen boys, actually, who loved to play with my boys and were wonderful with them while my children got older. So there are young people out there who like kids. There are young people out there who have warmth and who want to have a place where they can play and where they can be warm without grown-ups kind of mediating the whole relationship. So see who you can find. And I think the last thing I want to say is that it's important to ask for help. When you need help, it's important to ask. Even if you are half sure that someone cannot say yes, it's important to ask. It's important for us because it is a step out of powerlessness. It's a step out of feeling like a victim because the work of parenting is so isolating. And because asking for help raises our feelings up to where we can feel them. It's like, in a way, we're so unused to asking for help that anytime we do, we feel very vulnerable. And what you want to do when someone says no, because people will say no when you ask for help. Can you please babysit for me? Can you please take my child this morning? I have to go to the doctor. Can you please take my child? I'm getting angry over and over again and I just need a break. People will say no. Although you've chosen well, there are times when it just won't work for them, or they're just low on resource themselves. And what we need to do with those times is go home and have a good cry. Or go home and go ahead and rage. Go ahead and lay down on the bed and kick like crazy and have a good cry. It's like these disappointments when we reach out for help need to be addressed. We need to offload the feelings so that we can go back and ask again. It's like one of the hardest things about parenting when you don't have a listening partner, when you don't have emotional support, is that the disappointments and the feelings of helplessness build up, and pretty soon Parenting is a huge job that does not feel good because there's so many feelings in our emotional backpacks. When you've got a listening partnership and you ask for help and you're disappointed in the results, for some reason it does not work out, for some reason you get turned down, the thing to do is to have a good cry, to let those feelings out, so it doesn't spoil your ability to bounce back, ask again, and take initiative. You deserve help. You need help. Help is appropriate. Help is just right for you and your family. Help is one of the things that we need to organize and keep organized if our families are going to thrive. And we can do a lot of this help with exchanges. And so you don't have to ask someone who's sitting pretty. You can ask someone who's just as strapped as you are. You two or you three or you five parents can organize it amongst yourselves so that you've got a little group that really can work together. I know that you can do this. I know with a lot of good cries you can do it better and better. And that's what emotional support is for. It's for keeping you from stopping when you get discouraged. All you need to do is offload those feelings. You will find your power again.